Lori Lockwood. Thanks for joining us here at Cakes Cooking More. Today's recipe is goulash, which is sort of a soup with hamburger meat. You can make it more like a pasta by thinning it out a little bit. I like it a little bit of the broth in it because the flavor is all in the broth. And I have mine with crackers, so let's see what we need. Okay, so for this recipe we need several things. We have some chopped bell pepper, and I've left these chopped up pretty big. I like them a little bit bigger in mine, but I'm not as heavy on the onion in mine. So traditionally you use an entire onion chopped up, but what I do is I cut one in half, and then I cut off a couple of slices and I chop that really fine, and then I use a chunk of onion that I can easily pull out so I don't have so much onion, but I get the flavor of it. Then I have some salt, some minced garlic, some pepper, some chili powder, a little bit of butter, some water, some crushed tomatoes. You can actually use the stewed tomatoes if you want, but I don't like the big chunk of tomato, but I like the tomato flavor in it. So I use the crushed, and then some elbow macaroni. Also, you're going to need your hamburger meat. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our hamburger meat in and get that completely cooked. And then we have a plate here with some napkins, and we're going to pour out the hamburger meat on it so that we make sure we get all of the grease out. You really, really want to get that grease out, or else your soup comes out really greasy. So let's get started. So we want to just chop up our hamburger meat pretty small. Like I said, we're just going to cook this until it is completely done. Then we will drain it, and then we will throw it out onto the napkin and drain it some more. Unfortunately, with soups, you really can't have any grease left over, or it just comes out really kind of nasty. So we have to make sure we get that really well drained. Paper towels are kind of the quickest way to do that. Alright, so we'll be back in a few after this is cooked. Okay, now that our hamburger meat is completely cooked, we're going to go ahead and go drain this, and then we'll be back to put it onto our paper towel. Alright, so we're going to pour that out onto our paper towel. We're going to let that sit for a while and finish draining. You want to give it a good 5 minutes or so just to get as much of that grease off as you can. Alright, now we're going to start with our butter. We're just going to get that nice and melted. And we're going to add our onion and bell pepper. And really, you don't need to cook these for long, about maybe 2 minutes, just to soften them up a little bit. Your onions should look a little translucent, and that's when you know that you're at the right point. Now notice I didn't put in my big chunk of onion. I'm going to put that in a little while. Right now I'm just doing my chopped onion. So if you're doing a whole onion chopped, feel free to put that in right now. Just mix our butter around, let that get all nice and melted. Our vegetables mixed in and sauteed. Don't overcook them. You just want them a little bit clear looking. So like I said, about 2 minutes. If you cook them too long, they're going to be really soft and mushy later, and that's not what you're going to want. Alright, so we'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, now that our onions are looking pretty clear there, we're going to go ahead and add our garlic. We're just going to give that a nice stir. Some people cook the garlic in with the vegetables. I don't like to do that, just because I feel like it gets a little bit garlicky, and I don't want it super heavy. So I add it at the very last second to keep the flavor a little bit lighter. Alright, once we've got that in, now we're going to add our chili powder, our little bit of salt, our pepper, our tomato. And then our water. Just give that a nice stir. Now you have two options. You can make this more like a soup by adding extra water. And then you just cook the noodles in it. Now I cook my noodles separate, and I don't put as much water, so that it's a little bit thicker and it's more like, almost like a spaghetti topping on top of my noodles. So it's really your choice on which one you prefer. Traditionally it's more of a soupy, but I don't make mine quite as soupy. I don't like it as much with all the liquid. Alright, once you've got that well mixed, take your hamburger meat that we've been draining and add that in. Alright, get it mixed again. Alright, now you're going to put a lid on it and we're going to simmer it for about 30 minutes on low, and then we'll be back. Okay, so that's it for today. You can see it makes a nice hearty soup. It's pretty thick, but the soup is not real watery. And I have it with crackers. I actually prefer it with cornbread, but all of the kids like the crackers. But any of those work, or even fresh bread. So thanks for joining us here today. Kate's Cooking and More. Have a great day.